The last time we were on Ailul, you promised to show me around your kitchen. Shall we go off and have a look?
100%. Let's go.
Okay, cool. Look, it's been my privilege because I've been on the Inside House committee with you, and so got to know you pretty well. And I think you've been doing an incredible job with developing our menus and keeping it fresh and keeping it interesting.
Yeah.
That must be a challenge to kind of re-innovate, if that's the right term.
You know, it's challenging because of the restaurant environment. It's not a normal restaurant; it's a clubbing restaurant, and a lot of our members here are here often. And to them, things get a little bit monotonous if they're on the menu for too long. They all have their own personal preferences, which I totally agree with. But coming up now in the past 2 years, I would say there's been a lot more vegan, vegetarian, people with celiac disease, gluten intolerant people coming through our doors. And if you want to stick to the times, you need to be able to cater to those people. So obviously, being a chef, you do a lot of self-study. You have to, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere. It's challenging, but if you do your own self-study and you really get to know food and products and how they work, then at the end of the day, putting the puzzle together is not too difficult.
Because that was a challenge, especially when we started experiencing pressure with COVID and lockdowns, and we had to reduce the menu at one point.
Yeah.
I know that we did have questions about how do we manage produce and things like that so that we don't have wastage, and that's where you, as you say, you cross-reference or you use similar ingredients but across a variety of dishes.
That's correct. I try my best to use one ingredient in more than one way. So instead of having one dish, one ingredient, and having to hold stock just for one dish, I can sous vide it this way, and then I can poach it or fry it for a different way, for a different dish, so it gives it a whole different flavor profile. So I only order a little bit of a time to carry me over 1 or 2 days, and then I rebuy. I don't buy a whole lot of frozen things in and then just defrost as time passes.
Yeah, because fresh produce plays a big role in your style of cooking and the way we try and present the best we can.
Yeah. Definitely. So I try my best to get fresh produce in 2 or 3 days, and then I replenish. Because once that produce is picked, it already starts deteriorating. So you try and get it as fresh as possible, cook it and use it as fresh as possible, so that it doesn't deteriorate too much before it lands on a plate in front of a person in the restaurant.
So being a chef in this kind of environment must have enormous challenges. If you run a normal commercial restaurant, typically most restaurants will primarily focus and be sort of a steakhouse type of environment, or a more fish kind of restaurant type environment, or cooking or preparing dishes in a very specific style, whether it's French or whatever. But here we have a diverse membership, and we have members who like, good, wholesome, I want to call it nearly home cooking kind of type dishes. But there are also members who do at times want something a little more exotic.
Yeah.
That must be challenging. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
It's challenging because I teach in my kitchen. I don't have full-on trained, classically trained chefs in my kitchen. So I teach them what I know. So the hearty soups and stews and braised dishes, that comes easy. But when it comes to your more exotic dishes, which we normally do when we've got a jazz on the deck, when we've got weddings, when we've got food and wine pairings, you need to have it to the T, because if it isn't, it's just not going to work. So it has its challenges, but we always seem to overcome them pretty well.
So at the moment, due to the current lockdown, we do run a very limited menu, but I do know that you are busy planning and working on a new menu that hopefully we'll be launching when, and maybe you want to let out a few secrets out of the hat yet, or?
I'm constantly looking at new ways to improve things, because it's not just food on a plate in a restaurant. There's a whole lot of things behind the scenes that really also need to mesh together, otherwise it's not going to work. So for me, looking at the menus we've changed 3 times over the past year and a half, I've come to the conclusion now where I'm going to reduce the menu completely, have the favorites on there, the fresh hake, the burgers, the steaks, the things like that, the calamari, a few salads, a few sandwiches, and then I'm going to run purely on black water specials, because I can get in great products at a great price that I don't have to hold for a whole month. I don't have to have available 24 hours a day.
Right.
I can use that up, sell it as a special. People love it. Please have it again. I say in a couple of weeks' time, I'll get that in again. That's how we're going to see that things can work well. Also, it gives my chefs in the kitchen a chance to use their flair.
Cool, that sounds exciting. Now, when you visited me on Ailul, you asked me about the Holy Grail in my cellar, and you asked me about favorite wines and things like that. So if you cook, and you cook for yourself or for your family, what is the favorite? Let's start with a style. What's the favorite style of cooking that you really enjoy or have a passion for? Well, I think you have a passion. You also have a passion for everything you do, but there must be that something that kind of tickles you more.
So I've got 2 little girls at home, and they've been eating fresh food since they've been 6 months old. And you kind of adapt to what the family eats. My wife's come to love exotic dishes. I've had her try hundreds of new things that she's never tried before. And it's the same as the restaurant here, At home, I do a little bit of classical cooking. I do a lot of hearty cooking, You can always taste the love in the food. And also with my girls, they've become so accustomed to my cooking at home that if you give them a dish that's presented poorly, they will simply not eat it. So there's a vast range of cooking that I like to do at home, whether it's braaiing, poiking, braising, stews. So that's how and then I try things at home and then I bring them to work. I really enjoy that. It's fun.
Well, Chef, it's been a pleasure working with you these past few years, and we look forward to another year now with Inside House, of course, and to that new menu. So good luck with that, and thank you for your time.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
Cool.